Welcome back! By now you've probably watched our other PURR tutorials and are ready to start publishing data. In this video we'll look at preparing your dataset, types of publications in PURR, how to start a publication draft, the publication workflow, and the publication review process. Before you're ready to publish data, there are two areas of prep work you need to have completed first. One, you have to have a PURR project. As we go through this publication tutorial, I'm going to assume that you already have logged into PURR, have created a project, have uploaded files to your project, and that you're either a Purdue user or a Purdue user has invited you to their project as a project manager who has permissions to create publications. If you need help with any of these steps, check out our help materials for guides and tutorials. The second thing you need to do before you're ready to start publishing is to finalize your data files. You can use PURR to publish raw data, final data, or data somewhere in between, but you can't change your files once they're published, so be mindful of that. When you're finalizing your data files, make sure to include any context another researcher would need to read and interpret your data, such as clear labels, units of measurement, and explanations of any abbreviations used. If this kind of information isn't already included in your data files, you can create a supplementary file. That can be a simple text or PDF file that defines terms and lays out the necessary context. It will also serve you well to get this information recorded now while it's fresh in your mind, so a few years down the road when you revisit this data set, you won't have to dig through old records for your notes. Now let's take a look at the different kinds of data publications in PURR: files, databases, and series. When you start drafting your data publication, you'll be asked to choose one of these three publication types. All three publication types receive a DOI, or Digital Object Identifier, a PURR page for your publication, downloadable files that are indexed by search engines and archived by the PURR team. By far the most common publication type, the Files option allows you to select any type of data files for publication. PURR will zip all of the selected files into one downloadable bundle. Databases allow you to record relationships between data files and to display your data in an interactive table in PURR. The database publication type supports sorting, searching, and filtering online, and data files are also available for download. If you would like assistance in publishing a database, contact the PURR team and we'll be happy to help you. If you already have multiple datasets published in PURR, you can connect those datasets together in a series to show they're related. Each title in the content list of a series links to a published dataset with its own page and DOI. This makes it easy to cite individual datasets or the entire series. With a series, you can also continually add new datasets over time. Next, let's take a look at starting a publication draft. We're going to look at a files example. This self-service option I'm going to show you works very well for most datasets, but if you would like assistance, you can always contact the PURR team for help. In PURR, all publications must start with a project. In a previous video, we looked at projects as a private workspace where you can securely share files with your collaborators. In this video, I'll show you how to take some of those project files and make them available to the general public. First, we need to go to the project that contains the files we want to publish. I'm already logged in, so I'm going to click my account in the upper right to access my dashboard. From there, I'll choose the test project we used in a previous video, Representations of Astronauts in Popular Culture. That brings us to our project files. We have a number of working files in here and various versions of our dataset. I'm only interested in publishing our final clean dataset. The other versions can all remain private in this project space. To start my publication draft, I'm going to go to the Project Datasets tab in the project menu. This page shows a list of any datasets you've already published for this particular project. I've created a few so you can see what that looks like. To start a new draft, we'll click the Start a New Publication button in the upper right. First, you'll be asked to select a publication type. For this tutorial, we're going to look at files. So we'll select the files type. At this point, your publication draft is saved and PURR will track your progress, so you can leave and come back to work on it later. Now that we have our draft started, you can see the 8 sections of the publication workflow: content, description, authors, extras, license, tags, citations, and notes. In the content section, click Add a File to reveal a pop-up window listing files in this project. You can select files from the project or upload new files from your computer. To select files that are already in your project, click on the file name and you'll see a small green check next to that file on the right. If you would like to include files that are not already in your project, you can upload files from this publication workflow. Look for the Choose Files button, which will allow you to select files from your computer. In the Put In field, select the folder of the project you would like to store those files in, and then click Upload at the right. Once they're uploaded, those files should appear in the file list in the pop-up. Once you've selected all of the files you want to include, you can click the Save Selection button up at the top of that pop-up. Once we've selected our files, we'll move on to the description part of the publication workflow. This is where you'll start providing some descriptive context for your dataset that will help other researchers both find and understand your data. For the first field, Title, this is the first thing other researchers will see when looking for your dataset. You should title your dataset like you would title an article, and avoid cryptic or relative titles such as, dataset for 2017. You really want to consider the content of your data when you're titling it. The synopsis is a very brief one-sentence description that will show up with your title in search results. So consider what information you would want researchers to see when they're trying to decide whether or not to access your dataset. This field has a 255-character limit. The description field allows you to enter much longer text. This is essentially an abstract for your dataset. In fact, if you have an article based on this data, you can often use the article abstract as your dataset description. You should also consider including a note about file formats or any specialty software needed to open your data files. Next, in the Authors section, click Select Authors, and you'll see a pop-up with the names of anyone who's already currently on your project team. You can select from those members of the team. Just click their name and you'll see a green check on the right. You can also add authors who are not part of your project team by clicking the Add an Author link at the lower right of this pop-up. That will allow you to manually enter names and affiliations for any additional authors on your dataset. Now that you have authors selected, you have the option to rearrange them. Drag and drop an author to change the order. Follow whatever order convention is used most often in your discipline. The next section in our publication workflow is Extras. This includes an image gallery and supporting documents. You can add one or more images to the image gallery. These will be displayed on your publication page in PURR, and they will also be downloaded with your data files. Adding an image here is totally optional, but it does make it more likely that your dataset will be featured on the PURR homepage. Supporting documents is also an entirely optional field. This gives us a place to set apart supplemental files from our primary data files. That can be helpful if you have a large number of data files and you want your supplemental documents to stand out. You're also welcome to include your supplemental documents in the main content section of your dataset. Either way, all supporting documents will be included when someone downloads your dataset. The next section of our publication workflow asks you to select a license. PURR defaults to a Creative Commons Universal license, which is widely used for open access scholarly publications. We also offer a menu of options for you to select from. For help choosing a license, please see the knowledge base help resources on our website. Next, we'll move on to tags. Tags are keywords other researchers in your field might use to look for research on this topic. Tags are entirely optional. You can add tags by starting to type in the tag field. PURR will suggest tags that are already in use, or you can create a new one. If this dataset is associated with an article, consider using the keywords that the article publishers used for that piece. In the citation section, we can make note of any works that cite this dataset. So if you are publishing an article based on this data, you can enter a citation for the article here. If the citation you're adding has a DOI, you can simply add that here and PURR will retrieve the citation information, or you can choose to enter it manually. You can also add citations to your published datasets over time. The PURR team will periodically check to see if any publications have cited your work and add the citation in for you. Finally, the notes section. This is entirely optional. If you're publishing a second or third version of a dataset, this would be a good place to note the differences between those versions. That completes the publication workflow. Now the next thing you'll want to do is to preview your publication page. From any section of the publication workflow, you should see a globe icon in the lower right that says View Publication Page. That will bring you to a draft page of the PURR page your dataset will have once it's published. This preview is only visible to you and your project team. If that preview page looks good to you, you're ready to submit your publication for review. Navigate back to your publication workflow. You should see a publication review page that will ask you to enter a few more pieces of information. 1, the publication date. This is optional, and you can use this field to set an embargo on your dataset if you would like to. If you choose to embargo your dataset, it won't have a page in PURR until the embargo is lifted. However, the dataset DOI and the descriptive metadata you just added, such as titles, authors, etc., will be available in DataCite so that you can start citing that dataset even before the data files themselves become public. PURR will ask you to select a point of contact. You can select one or more authors from the list. And finally, in the agreement section at the bottom, affirm that you agree to the terms of deposit. And click the Submit Draft button. At this point, your draft will be submitted to the PURR team. Once you submit your draft, a member of the PURR team will review it, and they may contact you with questions. We'll also consult with the subject specialist librarian for your department. We have 3 goals during the review process. 1, to make sure your submission is complete and well described. 2, to make sure your dataset descriptive information and tags contain keywords that will make it easy for other researchers to discover your data. And 3, to make sure that your dataset includes any supporting materials necessary for others to understand and interpret your work. And the process itself usually takes 2 business days. After that, we'll have your publication page publicly available and your data ready for download. That concludes our tutorial. For other helpful resources, please visit the Guides and Tutorials section of our Help page. And you can also always contact the PURR team with questions. at purr@purdue.edu.